Thanks, guys. Next, I've got Mom's other younger brother, Tosh. Or sorry, not Tosh, but Tacky. Yeah, Tacky first.
Okay. Hi, my name's Tacky. I'm Mrs. younger brother. And it's funny because when she used to introduce me to her friends, she would always call me her kid brother. And then Hitoshi, he would start doing the same thing too, saying, oh, this is my wife's kid brother. So kind of stuck. Now, I'd be 60 years old, and they'd still be doing that. So, but I'd like to talk a bit about Hitoshi and today also. He was like a mentor to me. I wanted to do everything that he could. And my God, that guy could do anything. He could do plumbing, electrical, framing, roofing, mechanical on cars and stuff. I never met a guy known a guy that can do so much. And so I tried to copy everything he does. I haven't reached that goal. From a young age, Hitoshi was very instrumental in the way I thought about things. I remember we were coming home from White Rock Beach, and right coming up King George Highway, right about where Crescent Beach Road is, he pulls out and he says, watch this. He hits passing gear, and we passed 20 cars. And he goes, watch back there, there's George Holtz. He said he's only going to get about 10 cars past. And sure enough, he only passed 10. So he's telling me how when you got passing gear, you can hug the guy in front of you. When you're ready, just stomp on it, and away you go. I think we were doing about 75 by the time we passed all those cars. And then going further on, I'm only about 15 or 16, and he would tell me how to, show me how to make trusses. He said, you always go with the first one. He said, if you keep going consecutively, he said, eventually you could be out a quarter inch on the next one, half an inch on the next one. Next thing you know, by the time you finish your trusses, you're going to be out 2 or 3 inches. So I remember him saying that. And I would help him doing soldering. I was the one that wiped the excess solder off the pipes while he soldered them together. And something I learned how to ream the copper pipes and sand the outside and stuff. Now he was really pretty good at that kind of stuff. Anyways, as I got older, I went to work at Westminster Motors as an apprentice, and Hitoshi was body shop manager. Well, this is the only time he ever gave me shit for anything. So they had this strike vote. So everybody in the body shop and the paint shop are coming up to me and going, Tacky, you better vote strike, right? Support the union and all that kind of stuff. So, like an idiot, I did, voted strike. Next morning, we were going to coffee, and Hitoshi said, oh, wait up. He comes up, and he says, Jesus Christ, why did you vote strike? And I thought, how did he know? Well, it was 100% vote for a strike thing. Well, he proceeded to give me hell for the next 15, 20 minutes, whatever that coffee break was. He said, do you know how that makes me feel in front of the bosses, He said, you should have supported me. And I thought, yeah, I should have, because a 2% raise when I'm making $1 an hour isn't a heck of a very big raise. It's 2 cents, right? And you add that up, and I don't think I could even bought a package of cigarettes by the end of the week. So, anyways, after that, Hitoshi was so helpful to me. I actually quit the body shop, went up Fort St. John as in construction, and coming home, another fellow and my wife were in my Corvette, and they had a major accident in Quesnel. And so I phoned Mitzi up and told her about it, and lo and behold, here's Mitzi and Hitoshi. It was about 10 o'clock the next morning. They were there with my mother-in-law to, bring her up and support me. I thought, how can you ask for somebody more faithful than that to me, right? And that carried on as I got into boating and stuff, and I'd run out of gas or some stupid thing, and they'd always rescue me. I was, for instance, I was coming back from Pender Harbor, and my boat just quit, so I got this guy to tow me to some wharf, and it was blowing hard, and waves are jumping up and down, so we tied the boat up. The 2 wives got into this guy's boat, and they went to the marina, and we slept on the dock. My buddy and I slept on the dock. Anyways, next morning, I was just about 10:30. I could see this boat coming towards us. Here's Mitzi and Hitoshi coming to bail me out, right, to tow me back to the Sunset Marina. And that's just the kind of guy he was. He always was there to help. And, I can't say enough about him. I know I'm talking a lot about him right now. I wanted to speak at his memorial, but I never had the guts to do it. And so I thought, I'm going to do it this time. I don't particularly like talking in front of people, but I just said I'm gonna do it, and so here I am. I want to go back to my sister. My sister was just one terrific person. She was a sister to me, a friend, sometimes a confidant, and like my younger sister said, she treated me like she was my mother sometimes. She wasn't afraid to tell me what I did wrong or what I should be doing or stuff like that. And in fact, I think I was about 60 years old, and the mailman came past our house, and I thought, I'll go check it out. And lo and behold, it's a letter from my sister. So I opened it up, and here she proceeds to give me hell about how I should respect my elders. And I thought, okay. So I didn't answer her, but I still got the letter. I should show it to Bob. And it's quite funny. I know we're on a bit of a time thing here. I want to talk to you about one time when I went out. There was another couple, Les, my nephew, and we were flying out the south arm of the Fraser, and we just got into the open area, and all of a sudden the boat dies. I thought, what the heck? Well, I don't know how it happened, but I'm out of gas. So I thought, this is terrible. If the tide comes in the wrong way, we're going to end up in the sand and everything. So I had about 2.5 gallons in my kicker tank, and I thought I'd just keep enough gas to keep out of the tidal area. So this sailboat came along, and I got him to take Leslie with him to Main Island, which would take about an hour and a half, 2 hours for a sailboat to get there. So this is 7:30, so now we're at about 9:30, and I'm thinking, well, it's starting to get dark. I hope, things are working out. Well, it was about 10:30, and I could see I recognized Yosh Saito. He's out there bouncing along, and then we were waving a big light at him, and he comes up and he said something about, "Oh, I hear you might need some of this stuff," and he's holding up a 5-gallon pail. And then not too long afterwards, Hitoshi came along. Well, that's just kind of an example of the things that Hitoshi and Mitzi did for me, and I really appreciated everything that they did for me and everything they showed me, and love them both. I think I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing I should have mentioned at the beginning was that when Dad passed away, Mom said, "Don't intern him until I pass. I want to be buried with him." So that's why Ellen and I have been, had Dad living with us for the last 10 years. We still have his picture there, and now they're both together. We'll be putting to rest, and they can live their lives together again. Next, I've got Mom's brother, Tosh, say a few words. I believe there's a few pictures that he has for a slide presentation, and Tosh is going to use the chair over there, the mic.
Yeah, I get to sit in the chair because I can't stand very long. Oh, okay, thanks.
How's that?
Yes, okay, testing?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, first of all, I'd like to say to Bob, Debbie, and Mike, and your families, I share your loss. What I'm going to present is a story about Mitzi's destiny and how well everything turned out in the end. But that story is not complete unless I share with you the adversity that Mitzi experienced. Should I start over again then? Yeah, but that story is not complete unless I share with you the adversity that Mitzi experienced when she was growing up. I am able to do that because I was there too. Next slide, please. Oh, and I want to tell you that it was 70 years later that Mitzi told me, when I showed her that picture, which I got off the internet, and she told me then that her mom would not buy her short white socks. Okay, in 1942 then, Japanese Canadians were interned into interior camps and on prairie sugar beet farms. Rather than go to camp, my dad decided to go to Manitoba because otherwise he would have been sent to a road camp and the rest of the family to internment camps. So in order to keep the family together, he agreed to go to Manitoba to work on the sugar beets. And that decision robbed Mitzi and her siblings of their childhood. Okay, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, in May 1942, we arrived by train in Winnipeg, and we were mass bunked in the Winnipeg Immigration Building, awaiting selection by a sugar beet farmer. And the selection process went this way. Farmers were looking for families with able bodies. That meant young boys or older boys, not young girls and a young boy. Ruth was 12 and Mitzi was 11. So we were one of the last families to be selected by a sugar beet farm. And one thing I remember that Mitzi and I and Ruth got to do was get bused to school in a horse-drawn van. It took about 45 minutes each way to get to school because we were about 4 miles away from school. And it wasn't colored yellow like the school buses of today. And in the wintertime, it was equipped with a stove that it could be kept warm, keep the students warm, and they put a sleigh underneath. In 1943, next slide please. Next slide please. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we moved to the Stanley Churchill Farm near Morris, Manitoba, and that's where Tacky was born. Dad was unable to earn enough money by himself to feed and clothe the family, so Mitzi and Ruth were taken out of school to harvest the 1943 sugar beet crop. Next slide, please. This is our little house on the prairie that we were housed in Morris, Manitoba. It measured 16 feet by 16 feet, 256 square feet. It had a kitchen sitting area and a bedroom that housed all 5 of us. It was heated by a wood burning stove, but in the winter time, our breath would often freeze on our bed covering. It was so cold because the fire would go out. Next slide, please. And in 1944, we moved to the George Finney farm in Homewood, Manitoba. And again, Mitzi and Ruth were taken out of school to hoe and harvest sugar beets. And Mom was pregnant again. The next slide, please. This is a sugar beet house that housed us in Homewood, Manitoba. And this was luxury because it was 16 feet wide and 20 feet long. And it had 2 bedrooms. And these houses were supplied by the Manitoba Sugar Beet Company. Jiro Kamiya, Frank's dad, I think Frank is here today, he built many of these homes under contract with the Sugar Beet Company of Manitoba. Next slide, please. This is a class picture of a school in Manitoba. It was a one-room school. The teachers taught grade 1s to grade 8. There's about 24 students there. Imagine a teacher teaching all those grades. And sometimes the teachers were not much older than the oldest student in the school. Ruth, my oldest sister, was not in the picture because she was in grade 9 and she was taking grade 9 by correspondence. Next slide, please. Next slide, we moved to Oak Bluff to be closer to school, and that's where Frank Kamiya and his family were there too. And there we were subject to racial and religious taunts at school, and Mitzi remembers that was the worst experience in Manitoba. And Sister Casco, she was born in March that year. We returned to Homewood. Next slide, please. We returned to the Finney farm for 3 more beet seasons. One thing interesting and unique was that the German prisoners of war harvested the other side of the beet field in 1945. And some of them would visit us in the evening after beet harvest. And that was a real unique experience because how many people could say they actually had conversations with German prisoners of war when they were sent here from Britain during the war. Next slide, please. Yes, and then we moved to another farm called the Freight Farm in Manitoba, and Dad purchased a 1940 Chevy car, which we could now commute to the beet field instead of walking. That was quite a change. And in the fall, when the days were short, we used to have to walk to the field with a lantern because we couldn't see where we were going. But then when we got into the car, Dad would drive there with the headlights on, and we would have to wait in the car until it got light enough to go out and work. And we may have been the last family to be left on the sugar beet farms in Manitoba in 1950. Most of them had moved away by 1947. We just could not afford to move out. Next slide, please. This is our family picture taken in about 1948, I think, and it's the only photo that I have of our entire family together when we were still in Manitoba. And when we had this car, it really opened our horizons. We could go shopping, we could go to appointments, we could socialize, we could drive into Winnipeg to visit some friends. Next slide, please. Ruth married in the fall of 1949, and our parents then decided they were going to stay in Manitoba. We were not going to move back to BC where we were not wanted. And they offered to purchase a small garden, market garden in Manitoba, but the flood in 1950 put 4 feet of water on that property, so that was the last straw, and our parents decided they're going to go back to BC instead. So we had to stay for one more beet season, 1950. Next slide, please. Yes, and Mitzi and I made up for Ruth's loss as a beet worker, and we outproduced our parents. We would outproduce them in hoeing sugar beets and topping sugar beets. Sugar beet hoes fields were quite long, almost a quarter mile long, and so during the day we would lap them and do more hoeing than they did. And on the next slide I can show you who's topped the most sugar beets, and in 1950 we topped over 300 tons of sugar beets in about 6 weeks. And it was the children's contribution that allowed us to extricate ourselves from the sugar beet farms. Next slide, please. This is a picture of our family topping sugar beets. On the tractor is Cuz, who thought she was driving the tractor. That was her daycare. She spent it out in the sugar beet field. And you can see by the height of the pile who cut topped the most sugar beets. That's me on the left there, and my mother in the back. And Mitzi, I think, took the picture. Next slide, please. I want you to think about this for a moment, I think we skipped one here. Oh, okay, I'll cover this one. Yeah, Dad traded in his car and he bought a new pickup truck to use for farming in BC. And so Mitz and I had a ball. We cut donuts in the front yard, but the front yard there was about 15 acres. And Mitzi and the family returned to BC by train in early December. Next slide, please. Yeah, think about this. Most internee descendants would not have been born if Japanese Canadians hadn't been scattered all across Canada. consider the miracle of life and how life begins. What were the chances of forming the same relationships if the interment did not happen? And that was slim and none. Next slide, please. After we returned to BC, I could see what was happening. Mitzi and Tosh started dating, and it got serious. And they got married around 1955. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. Yeah, Bob, Debbie, and Mike, you've each won the lottery of life, having born to great parents. Actually, all descendants of internees won the lottery as well. And the next slide, please. And finally, to close off this story, Mitzi on left with Tosh. They're shown in this photo in 1936. Mitzi was about 5 years old, and Tosh was about 6 or 7 years old. They were nearly 1,300 miles apart for nearly 9 years. It all unfolded as if it were meant to be, and that was destiny. So that's my short story. I used actually my notes as a presentation because otherwise this would have taken about another hour, and Debbie would have cut off the microphone if I went over 10 minutes.
Thank you, Uncle Tosh.